First thing I want to do is say thank you for spending your time with us. I feel like some of you will have more people attend as we go along, but we want to get started with the webinar on time today. It's going to be fairly short, so let's talk a little bit about what's going to be happening today. Again, this training session is designed to support the existing IssueTrack customer base. We'd like to provide you with some ongoing training and refreshers to both system admins and to users so that you can keep up with some of the new features and some of the ways that we use IssueTrack. We're going to be holding these mostly monthly. So we're going to shorten this one up to about 1 hour today. Patrick and I will be making one presentation, splitting it between both of us. So it'll be a little bit more condensed about what we've been doing in the past. So hopefully we'll only need about 1 hour of time in order to get this done. Feel free to ask any questions. While I'm talking, Patrick will be monitoring the question and answers in sections. So it's the Q&A option within the webinar. And when he's talking, I'll be going ahead and monitoring for him too. So one of us will try to answer them online. If we can't answer it online, we will have those recorded so we can get in touch with you afterwards. Today's is about a 45-minute presentation. It's called Track of All Trades, IssueTrack Tools You May Have Missed. I want to make sure that you understand this is going to be a webinar really about expansion and a lot of the tools that we use to expand. Some things have changed over time. We want to look at how you can leverage the particular IssueTrack software that you have currently installed into other departments or other uses that you may not have thought of. There's been some changes that may make that more effective for you and more useful for you. So we're going to go ahead and try to talk about that today. And then we're going to follow up about a 15-minute question and answer. Question and answer, of course, is a live event. You can ask anything you want. It does not have to be related to the topic that we're talking about today. And then the two presenters that we have today, of course, myself, I'm a senior product engineer at IssueTrack. I've been here a long time. I've worked here, of course, with some of these webinars. Some of you I've met with and talked to before. So I'm hoping that we have a good experience today. And then Patrick, he's the new guy to the team. He's been a long-time member of IssueTrack. He's been on the professional service. He's new to the professional services team, but he's been a member of the support team for many years. So he brings all of his experience in working with customers to the professional service team. And hopefully he can give you some really good information today. Finally, I want to say that I would like to connect with you. IssueTrack is really working more in our social media aspects of IssueTrack. We do have a user network out there on LinkedIn. We do invite you to join if you do not, and also spread the word to other users that you may have within your company. If they want to connect with other users in IssueTrack, the user network on LinkedIn is a good way of doing it. Also, of course, we do have other platforms that we are posting in. So we have some of those like Twitter and Facebook down at the bottom, Instagram. So don't be afraid of connecting with us in any social platform. We are listening. So thank you, and we'll talk to that. So today's session, I am actually going to start today's session, and I'm going to dive right in. So today's presentation is called essentially IssueTrack Tools You May Have Missed. Well, some of the things that you may have missed is the tool itself. And I'm going to start with that about expanding IssueTrack. Because a lot of you think of IssueTrack as being a one-tool pony, essentially, but IssueTrack is used in many industries and it has many usages. So we have different opportunities to leverage the product itself as a tool that you may have missed. So let's take a look. We have features to support many needs. We have different deployment options in the cloud and on-premise that can meet the needs of many of our customers that other products can't. Some of them are cloud only, so they can't offer premise, and where premise is necessary or required by your company, we can meet that need. Configuration flexibility allows us to use some of the same features for different usages, and Patrick's going to be talking about features later on, so I'm going to leave that to him. And then our people have experience and knowledge to help. Between Patrick and I, we have well over 30 years of experience with IssueTrack. Between both of us, we're approaching 40 actually of years with IssueTrack. So we can leverage our experiences. Not only that, but we have many customers and many people on the support team that have years of experience. They have a lot of knowledge of helping customers in many different usages. So our sales staff, our support staff, and our professional service staff stand ready to help you with our experience and knowledge to help you out. So let's take a look at some of the industries. Now, this is interesting because when you look at this, you've got a lot of different industries that you look: healthcare, hospital care, insurance, laboratory, logistics, manufacturing, and this is just some of them. There are a lot of different industries that we used in IssueTrack, and this is not even a complete list. We did a little, I guess, exercise is the term that you would use during our last user conference back in 2019, before everything went to heck in a handbasket. Where we brought in their attendees and we asked them to line up into groups or related to the industries. And we broke these down to about 6 different major industries, government, healthcare, technology, manufacturing, things like that. They were more general because it was too many to actually have individual groups. So we had a lot of different people spread out. Then, as you can see, advertising and media and things like that. Then we looked at usages. Well, big and little people have accounting teams, they have logistics needs, they have issue tracking needs, human resources, finances. So we split them again, and we asked them to go to the other groups that define some of these basic usages. And again, we broke these down into a little bit smaller groups in order to make it more manageable. Well, what was interesting was the intermix of the different industries and the different usages. Because you'd have a company that was really small talking to a huge Fortune 50 customer, or, and they had exactly the same usage, but they're in completely different industries. So we got a lot of cross chatter with it. And it was a very interesting exercise because it really kind of opened your eyes. You mean we can do this with IssueTrack? It's just a different way of setting it up and being able to be doing it. So let's take a look at why we would want to do that. So why expand IssueTrack? Your return on investment on your investment with IssueTrack, your license fees, your money and your time that you spent with the product, that's your return on investment. And you can increase that return on investment by spreading IssueTrack out or doing more than one thing. And you can manage your risk because you have experience with IssueTrack. IT and application support, you've already trained people to use IssueTrack. You've got trained system administrators, so you can implement faster. There's one less app. People are already used to using the application to do one thing. Well, they can easily leverage it to do another. Your end users and agents, a lot of times they're trained already to do one thing with the product, and then they can pick up using it for different usages very quickly. I'm also running into the other way. They're starting to be exposed to IssueTrack, and you're getting people who are being exposed to IssueTrack come back to our system administrators and ask for help with some of their problems that they have. So sometimes you can get a more generic or a generic homegrown expansion of the product just from people asking about it. Your sales force conversion, you have less stress. They know what to expect. They know that the product does what it says it's going to do. And you have less financial impact because you'll have less loss of productivity because people don't have to be retrained to do the same thing. It's just different categories, for example. Sometimes if you happen to be using an on-premise installation, then you can use your own servers and you prefer to do that. Maybe you want to gain access, you can do that. We also go the other way. Many of our customers now, we're having a surge right now of customers who have interest in moving from the on-premise installation IssueTrack back to the cloud. Support team can be very helpful with that, and they've been scheduling some of those migrations from premise to cloud, or even from cloud to premise. It just depends on which you prefer. And there are other additional IssueTrack internet submission forms. So now you're looking at forms that are actually being created by us through web forms, or they could be web forms created by you, or they could be just having the IssueTrack application sitting on your intranet and being able to be accessed that way. Sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to use. So what does that do? Once you start leveraging your IssueTrack investment, then your expansion capability is already built in within the product. Patrick's going to talk about some of the tools that we already have. And like the dashboard that you see here, you see where it's actually displaying issues across multiple departments within your company. So it's a one snapshot view. So as he starts talking about some of those tools that we can use within the expansion, then you can take a look at some of the things that we can use for you. Things to think about. We're not a single-use product. If anybody has tried to go and shop, they'll go and say, okay, we want to go shopping. We want to look for a product to do X. Let's say it's human resources. They're going to get all these products that are custom built to do human resources issues. And some of them, they're going to fit the needs really well. IssueTrak took another approach. Yes, we do human resources. Yes, we do accounting. Yes, we do IT. Yes, we do transportation. That gives us the ability to not be stuck within one department, but could expand our usage across multiple different departments within a company. We've done that in many cases where we felt like that was a good expansion capability. Expansion goes better when you have an internal promoter. If you've got one or two people who really understand IssueTrak and the capabilities, then they can think about different ways to use the product that becomes useful for the company. And a subject matter expert. It's good to have someone to go to within the company that knows the product. Some of you are my subject matter experts that are attending today. Then you're the person they turn to for questions first. And then we can leverage our professional services is available to help you out. Patrick and myself are here. We're here to help train and help your admins or your SM and your SMEs whenever there happens to be turnover. When there's a new usage that's being explored or a feature that needs to be implemented, then we can be there to help you train or understand it. We try to help you save time by helping you consult with other departments in case they are considering expansion. See if it's a good fit, see if we can put it in, see how we want to implement the product. And the key to a successful expansion is definitely planning. You want to analyze the needs of both groups because you've got to kind of merge them together in order to exist if you're going to exist on one site. The new group's users different from the ones that are currently in the site? Is it a completely different user base? I've had that happen. Are there issue visibility concerns that need to be addressed? We need to discuss whether a new addition of a new usage needs to have the issues restricted access, for example. Can both groups share common drop-down values in the field system? There are certain fields that maybe have to be shared. Can they share them easily? And what additional IssueTrak features or capabilities need to be enabled? Maybe if you expand into a different group, they may have different needs and we may have additional features that you may not be using. So we need to expand and take a look, and we need to really examine what those particular needs are and what additional capabilities IssueTrak can provide to you in order to make the implementation work for you. One thing is looking at one site versus multiple sites. So when you bring in a new group, the first thing you want to do is you want to analyze, like we said, and plan. In certain situations, two different groups or more than two different groups can come together into one site and provide a very, very good implementation. Where users can go to one site, they can submit issues to multiple users or multiple teams, and it works really seamlessly. Issue separation, visibility is all controlled. It does a very good job. However, there are certain situations where we need to split and we recommend to create a brand new site. A lot of times human resources and payroll comes into that. In some cases, complaint management or quality may fall into those areas. So you may take a look at the different usage and decide, we really need more security. We need more data segmentation here. How about if we just create a new site? Well, we can do that. We can have multiple sites created. Several of our customers use more than one site in order to segment data for whatever need they have. So it's a good capability of having that ability to say quickly set up another site. I worked with a customer earlier today. Essentially, they added a new location. They just cloned an existing site and created a second site that had everything filled in. All they had to do really was go back in and add users and confirm that the data that was there was going to meet their needs too, and was very little data cleanup they had to do. Same instance, same setup, two different websites, two different usage, well, the same usage basically, but they just expanded it out to a different team. There was need to have data segmentation. They could not use the multiple site setup. So next thing, benefits of one site versus multiples one site with multiple usages. In here, processes and workflows for all departments are stored in one place. So you get one view into all the issues. Users only have to remember one website and log in. How many people these days have to remember so many different sites with so many different logins? It drives you nuts. That's the reason you have LastPass. Agents covering multiple areas have one place to track their work. So sales team, for example, and implementation teams or training teams can be in one area if you want to. Customer complaints, quality, manufacturing issues, all of those can be in one area so that people can have good access. Management gets a view into everything at once. I had one customer who wanted to look at everything from the sales invoice, from the sales request coming in the door to the product being shipped. And we handle issues related to that all the way through. So we wanted a view of everything at once. Aggravating data from multiple departments and groups is possible because everything is in one place. Then you can pull reports based off of multiple data sources within our tables. Groups that can use one site with multiple uses. This is what we find commonly. It doesn't mean this is the complete list, but things like information technology, facilities management, accounting, finance, office management, operations, marketing, purchasing, customer service support, quality control, and any combination thereof. So, and again, this does not mean these are all the groups. These are just example groups that we use. We don't even know all the groups, to be honest with you. Benefits of one site. And so let's go back the other way. Let's try this now, benefits of multiple sites. When you have confidential information, say PII or PCI, then it's more easily controlled and access is more easily controlled with two separate sites. The user base can be completely different. Some situations we have where the users in the second site will be completely different than the users in the first site. So we don't really want to mix them in. We would prefer to manage them. I've had sometimes customers support issues being one side and IT issues being another. Same site, same software, but just two different configurations and different user bases. One's an internal, one's an external. Active Directory can be used or excluded independently. That way, you could have a customer site that doesn't use Active Directory, and you could have an internal site that does use Active Directory or any of the other identity management tools we support. Configuration and feature requirements are all different. Those two sites can be set up with different issue types, different quick picks, different setups and needs can be handled by having two completely separate sites. There's no infighting, there's no discussions or negotiations that need to be handled. People who own this site set up their site, people who own this site set up their site. So it makes it easier for you to not have that infighting or negotiations you have about common features. Ownership does not have to be shared. Again, the other part about it is that you do sometimes have an infight about who owns the site. IT maybe originally bought it. Well, facilities wants to come in, but facilities is using it more than IT now. So who's own it? Is it the IT team or is it the facilities team? So you don't have that type of infighting if you have two separate sites. Internet and intranet access can be different for each site. So one site could be an internal on the intranet, while the other site could be posted externally, so it could be outside the firewall and be accessed by customers. So uses sometimes requiring a separate site: human resources, payroll, HIPAA and PCI, accounting, finance. You see accounting and finance is on both lists. Purchasing, engineering, change requests, complaint management. Sometimes because of security, we might need to do that or access to it. So what can we do to make this happen? The most important thing is to gather the right data. What new issue types do you want to implement? Who's going to submit them and working the issues? What new values need to be added to the dropdowns? Do you need to create new user-defined fields? What workflows and tasks need to be created? Set up a test site. If you want to test adding a new usage to a site, make sure you have a test site. You can do the modifications in the test site, make sure it works, and smooth things out when you go live. It's one of the things that we allow within our licensing is you are allowed test sites. Even if you are on our cloud, you can request a test site from our cloud team. So all you have to do is contact support. If you're on a premise installation, then you can set up a separate site if you need to within the same license. Make sure that you talk to support when you do so. Modifying your site structure or building a new site, because there may be changes that you need to make. So you can make all of those changes in the test site, see how they're going to work out before you implement them into your live site. More things to modify, like workflows, email notifications, business rules. These are some of the tools that Patrick's going to go over with you in a couple minutes. He's getting ready now. You can see he's ready to roll. Test with users, document your changes, create training manuals, train users, roll out that changes to the production environment. Rally those internal promoters. That's a big thing, because if you get the internal promoters, people who you win over that this is going to be a good change, those will make the implementation easier because they talk to other people who may not feel that way or who have never been exposed to IssueTrack. You're kind of growing it organically as users are exposed to the software then, and you're getting good acceptance from the system. And of course, there are financial considerations whenever you decide you want to expand. Agents, you can move them around, repurpose them, divide up teams. You may need to add some agents where you're going to add 1 or 2 agents per department you add. So you have to decide how you want those agents to be broken down. Maybe you do need to purchase additional agents. Well, if you do that, then that's a shared cost. You may say, okay, different department A, I need you to bear some of the burden of the IssueTrack licensing. So we can, you can then have them pay for some of it in their budget, and you have the rest of it in your budget. There are other add-on modules that Patrick will start talking about in a couple minutes, where a new usage may require a new module. Maybe you are interested in something like asset management. And then, of course, there's always professional services. Maybe you want a couple hours of consulting hours. So you meet with Patrick or I, and we talk about expansion, what you need to do, what you would like to do, what tools we can recommend, those type of things. So those type of tools that we might need to think about are some of the things now that Patrick and I are going to be involved with. So I'm going to kind of turn things over to Patrick and let him go ahead and discuss the IssueTrack training site, where you can see some of the things that Patrick will go over. And then he can kind of talk about some of the tools that we can use to do the expansion. So I'm going to let him take over, and I'm going to stop talking now. So take it away, Patrick.
All right. So, hi, everyone. Once again, welcome. Thank you for joining. This is a really good one for expanding your usage, getting the most out of your IssueTrack purchase. You've got the IssueTrack product, you might as well use it to its full ability. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I have IssueTrack site up here. This is our webinar demo site. You can see I'm logged in as a sysadmin, actually, myself. We have the Issue Hub here, one of our newest features that we utilize. So Mike was talking a lot about expanding. Well, expanding can mean a couple different things. Do you want to expand other departments, or do you want to rethink and expand your processes that you have now? IssueTrack is always improving and listening to our customers, and we're giving new functionality all the time. So with that new functionality, you could actually rethink your processes, improve your processes, streamline, or actually bring on other departments, ask what their pain points are in their processes, and if IssueTrack can help as well. So, but also bringing on and expanding, you don't want to muddy the waters with information that you don't want to see, or that doesn't pertain to you. So how do we segment out this type of information? The first way we can do that is by separating our users out. So I'm going to talk about the new organization memberships. I know we've done a webinar and talked about this, but kind of want to reiterate the value of the organization memberships. So as you can see here, I'm using another feature, our new bookmark feature, which I really love because you don't have to go to the settings lightbox. You don't have to guess where anything is in navigation. You can just click on our organization list. And as you notice here, organizations, they can be used many different ways. And you're going to notice here that I have mostly department names here in my organizations. So with the organization memberships, it was limited where we could only have one user per organization or one user for department. Well, what if a manager's overseeing maybe finance and HR? Well, they can be added to the finance and HR organizations. Also, we can restrict many different features in IssueTrack by organizations or by groups. So it adds a lot of more functionality when you can restrict it to multiple organizations, but a user can be in multiple organizations now. So for this example, we're really restricting off the HR. You can kind of see we have internal versus external. Obviously, the main IssueTrack is non-internal. We usually like to have one org that's non-internal and then all the others mostly internal. So I'm going to show you the organization memberships here in a second with the users. But the big thing here is a naming convention. So everything's easy to understand. It may be called organizations, but at a glance, it does look like departments. We also have custom labels in IssueTrack, and we are actually going to be expanding the custom labels soon. So you can even customize further the labels in IssueTrack. So that's coming up, just a little caveat there. Also, we have our departments. So now a user can be in multiple organizations. They can also be in a department, which adds extra functionality as well. So it kind of just reiterates the naming convention on that. So I'm going to show you how to add a user to multiple departments. So we're going to go to our user list here. I've got my end user here. So we're going to edit the end user. They're in the IssueTrack organization. Adding organizations is as simple as just dragging and dropping. So maybe this end user has a role in the facilities department as well. Want to go over these new icons that we have. So this primary organization, and then we have the secondary organizations below. They can be added to many organizations. We also have where they can edit issues in that organization. Now, this is also based on their user permissions. So if they can't edit issues, they have this permission, they still won't be able to edit issues. Also, they can see users in these organizations. So we can give them that ability as well. Obviously, again, if they don't have the permissions to see other users, they're not going to be able to do this. So just something to think about there. So that's kind of how we separate out our users with the organizations and departments. But how do we separate out our issues? Well, we have a lot of configuration for that as well. So when you think of issues, the main thing is the issue type. So what type of process or what type of issue is this? And you can see here, we're going with the departmental theme and the naming convention. So we have HR issues, we have finance issues. You can see if we list the expanded, there's all the subtypes underneath that go with all of those types of incidents. Also, we can restrict certain users from submitting certain types of issues. So my main example here is HR. So obviously, maybe you don't want certain users in submitting HR issues. Most of it's onboarding, offboarding, stuff like that. A lot of times they'll go to their managers and the managers will need to submit HR. So we have this by two different organizations. So HR can submit HR issues and managers can also submit HR issues if they get complaints from their employees. So we can restrict that as well. Issue types also drive custom screens. So when if you bring on a new department, they have certain processes and certain forms, and the issue types can be have a custom screen. This way I have the IT issue types for an IT screen. Custom screens can have unlimited number of user-defined fields as well. So certain processes are going to need certain information from your users. So we use our user-defined fields for those. So you can see in here, I've added a couple of user-defined fields for IT, such as, service tag serial number. This wouldn't really be on HR or facilities issues. We kind of limit those to the custom screens. So adding user-defined fields first and then adding to the custom screens is very easy. We're going to go show you a couple custom screens now. So we have the IT screen. So of course, I've added those user-defined fields to the IT screen. You can see the service tag, service number, contract number, which is a private user-defined field, which is permission-driven. Only users can see private user-defined fields. And you can put these in any order. You can take away or add any of these available fields as well. You can also have custom section headers and custom screen text that maybe give direction on how to fill out the issue, or maybe suggest a KB article for some self-help as well. Then we can go into quick picks. So we can also limit quick picks. So quick picks are pre-populated issues. You can see we have the HR offboarding and onboarding, and we can fill out as much or as little on these forms as well. So we can pre-populate the subject line and have them fill in what employee name is here. Also, we can populate the HR issue type and the subtype for offboarding as well, and assign it to the HR agent user. So these are pre-populated forms, and also we can restrict them. So who can submit this quick pick? Well, only users in the HR organization or the manager's organization can actually go in and submit these quick picks. As you can see here, quick pick list here. So this can be customized. So maybe your end users do not see the HR or offboarding quick picks. Another way to separate out issues is through classes. So we like to think of classes as groupings of issues. And you can see here, I've got my naming convention. These classes can drive groupings of issues, and also can be reported on as well. The classes also are used in the dashboard view. A lot of people are familiar with our dashboard, but I've seen a lot of customers not really use the class. So we can actually show class here. So we only wanted to see facilities issues, we could do that and only show that as well. So each department maybe wants to come in here, and I want facilities to be my default dashboard class. So at the top right here, we can actually go into the My Settings, and you can customize your views and what defaults you have. So we can come in here to the dashboard class. Maybe I'm just concerned with facilities request. We can set that. So now when I go to dashboard, the facilities show. It's only issues I'm concerned with. So that's how we can kind of separate out and expand to other departments and expand our usage and processes. So that's a good one as well. Another tool I like to use with expansion and also automation. We just had a webinar 1 or 2 months ago about automation, is the SubStatuses. So SubStatuses are good because they can be used at a glance, maybe from the issue hub or the dashboard of where an issue is in its life cycle. So you can see it's assigned, maybe it's on hold with HR. So this is another way you can segregate out HR issues from IT and use those SubStatuses as well. So, pending closure, is it a resolved issue? This kind of shows the life cycle at a glance. There's a lot of automation with this. Task completion can change SubStatuses. Escalation rules can be driven off of SubStatuses. So, if you find yourself maybe getting some stagnant issues that need to be pushed along, you could set them in maybe a pending customer response, where we escalate that issue and it moves along trying to get an answer from a client. And then we have additional tools as well. If the best place to see where you can expand your product really is the settings lightbox. So if you just simply click on settings as a sysadmin, you can see all the additional tools that we have in here at a glance. And if you don't recognize one, or maybe you're not using one, you may consider that, such as we have the surveys module that can send web surveys out when an issue is closed. We have the billing module. We have all sorts of different modules and different special function table where we can have maybe a database record on an issue. And you know, for users that maybe don't need a user record, we can record those there as well. So there is a ton of opportunity for expansion. This whole webinar is about using IssueTrack to its fullest capabilities. So you may want to ask around your company and say, hey, what are your pain points with your certain software you're using? Or, you know, what kind of processes can we do? We're very good at task management and workflow processes. So if you have a workflow that maybe we can help out with someone else, you may want to mention that to them as well. So that's going to leave us a transition into our slideshow here. This is where Mike left off. So we do have the IT training. You may want to write down the super secret login information as admin and password on this ittraining.issuetrack.com. You can go in there and we've set up a lot of processes, a lot of quick picks, a lot of workflows that you may find good examples for. And that's going to bring us into our final thoughts. So the best IssueTrack tool is one I didn't mention, and that's us, our pro services department, me and Mike here. Like Mike said in the beginning, we have over 30, close to 40 years with IssueTrack, and Mike's pretty much seen it all, every configuration, and I've pretty much supported it all. So, you know, your greatest tool is the professional services and to reach out to us. We don't just help you with getting started with IssueTrack. We also here to help you expand and refine your processes or expand your usage within the company. We have a tune-up session that we offer, and you know, we can get professional services hours through your account manager. You may even have leftover unused hours that are available from when you purchased IssueTrack that may just be hanging out there. Well, you know, you're going to want to use it. You paid for it, so let's get most for your money, the best bang for your buck. And if you want to schedule a tune-up, you can reach out to your account manager and take advantage of the expansion and all the processes that you learned about today. So we have all that information here. I'll leave this slide up for just a little bit. But that's pretty much going to wrap up our webinar today. I know it's been a shorter than usual webinar, but that's kind of the way we're going. We don't want to take you too much from your day to day. So that's going to leave us to any questions you have, and you can type those in the Q&A if you like now.
Thanks, Patrick. You did a great job.
I appreciate that, Mike. Yeah, I've learned from the best. So.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to just switch right over. We're not even going to stop right because we're going to hold on for a few more minutes. But we did any type of question you want about anything related to IssueTrack is fine. It doesn't have to be related to these topics. Like I said, we're pretty much open to try to share our knowledge with you during these sessions. So hope you can do that. Another thing we want to try, and I haven't done this before, so I'll have to be very honest, is I set up a couple of poll questions, and during this time, just a couple of questions that we wanted to ask. I'm going to see if you can go ahead and answer and respond to some of these questions. Let's see. Hopefully, I can figure this out. To be honest with you,
I can see it.
Oh, good. That's good to know. So it's nice to be able to get a little bit of information from you while we have you here. Maybe hopefully as we're starting to expand this out, we can go ahead and use this use this as a jumping point for additional information we might want to gather from you in the future. So we're just going to give it about a minute, and then we're going to see where we can go from there. So it's nice to know that how to use new tools was one of the nice things that brought you here today. It seems like that was the big thing that came in. It's good to have. We want to try to continue that. Of course, during most of the webinars that we've done, we focused on new capabilities and the new releases and things like that, and we'll continue to do that. That's one of the things that Patrick was trying to bring to you today is the new organizational memberships. That's a very important feature. I can see that being used a lot by a lot of you out there right now to help you with some of the segmentation. It does give you nice capabilities of being able to submit an issue onto another organization without having to change the submitter's name. So you can look at that as being a good capability. Take a look at it, see if it's something you have questions about or if you want to use. Go ahead, please. Talk to our support team, talk to Patrick, and I would be happy to help you with that particular feature.
Yeah, and I also want to share one more thing, Mike. We've got this. So we have IssueTrack.com/feedback. Can you see that, Mike?
Yep.
So this is where you can submit feedback of any kind, feedback on the webinars, feedback on the product, or just feedback in general. So it's a good place. And our product we like to have as customer driven. We kind of like to take your suggestions on, how we can improve. We don't know where we're lacking if we don't get any feedback. So if you could just take a little bit of time, maybe give us some feedback here. Also, I know that there will be a survey sent out for all our attendees about the webinar. So if you could fill that out for us as well.
And Sarah just posted the link to that in the chat. So if you haven't been there before, use that link to go and get that feedback. That's a good thing to bring up, Patrick. Let's see.
Right.
Yep. Okay, good. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Any other items?
Questions?
Yes, it's been a slow.
We must have been very informative. So.
Well, Patrick, let's talk a little bit about one of the features that you did mention. That's the special function table or special table that we've called it over the years. I wanted to kind of talk to that a little bit because it's kind of an oddball that sits out there. Even within IssueTrack, sometimes we have discussion. We have arguments about how to use it or not. The special function table, which Patrick's going to bring, is 50 fields of data, and it can become a table record, or it can be sitting there and just have 5 fields of data on an issue. But it's got some functionality. We're running into it some where we're using it for complaint management, where you want to maybe list a contact, a complainant, or something like that. So we've got some customers that use it for parts or for different components that they want us put in with issues. So it is a feature that is kind of overlooked a lot of times. And even in Jumpstarts, I say, I don't want to talk about it unless you've got a usage for it and I haven't heard what we need yet. So that would be a good one that you can come and examine as being a feature that you may want to use. Even if you only use it for things like a certain segment of issues, it may be an interesting field for you to look at. Because you can use it as a contact record. You can even send emails to the people that you put in there. If you designate one of those fields as an email record, we can send emails just like the submitter if you want to do that. So that would be a very good one.
Yeah, I like to think of the special function table almost as like a database record inside of the database. So it can act like a database record. It can act like a separate user field or any kind of, like you said, part number, inventory almost. So we do have a question, and Sarah wanted us to maybe give an example of a customer who's expanded or the tools or department during their time with IssueTrack.
Well, that's an interesting question, and there are many examples. It's just, and then you go blank, to be honest. But you and I both have run into many customers who we have talked about over the years,
Mhm.
where they've started like with IT, and I see more with IT. They put in a help desk, they've started putting questions in, they started gathering data. And a lot of times the facilities team has come in and said, you know what, I need something to track my work. And that's all I need to do is track work. And they say, can this product do the same thing? And sure, it kind of fits together. And then we'll have a facilities manager who just wants to track their request and go in there and do it. And they'll go in and add in additional issue types for the submission of the issue. So the IT request, the help desk request can go through one portal. They'll just separate it out about who the team is going to be assigned to. That's probably a pretty common one that I think that we've run into over the years. It seems to be those two merged together pretty well. I've done that also with ECRs, where ECRs are coming in, some engineering change requests, they come in as a change request or an idea, and then we'll leverage into maybe a quality team or things like that. So those have happened in the past. So we never know exactly where it's going to come into play. We had one customer many years back that came to us and they set up premise installations. And the team that originally wanted to use IssueTrack had a specific purpose. We met their needs and they started using the product. And lo and behold, over the next few years, they started expanding and getting additional websites. They set up individual websites. So they'll go ahead and track more than one type of usage, but they do it with different websites. I think by the time they were done, they had like about 6 or 7 different sites that were set up to do different things for different teams within the company.
All right, we got Ellen. Ellen's asking a question. She said, we track work requests as well as changes made to environmental data. There may not be too many folks who track data and database changes.
That's an interesting one because I'm going to go back in time. Many years ago, this is many years ago, this is even, I think, before Patrick was even hired. As everybody knows, we're a Microsoft shop. IssueTrack is built on a SQL Server database platform. We use active service pages. We use mostly Microsoft technicians. Well, one of the sales members got a lead from an Oracle shop. And especially back in the day, Microsoft and Oracle did not get along. It's like Pepsi, it's a little like Pepsi and Coke. You don't bring a Microsoft database into an Oracle shop, and you really don't want to even bring an Oracle database into a Microsoft shop. But they had a specific need, and the specific need was database changes or changes to the Oracle database. And they selected IssueTrack and had to get special permissions in order to bring that database online in their Oracle shop. But they were able to implement it and use IssueTrack to track their database changes in requests that need to be made into Oracle, but they just did it within a small instance of IssueTrack. And it's interesting because things that we do, we never know what they're going to come into play with. We've had all different types of requests, that track data requests, and a lot of times it's on the request side. Where we're really good about the request side, and then we implement it in different systems or something like that, and what we done. So IssueTrack can always be used in order to gather requests for changes. Like Ellen is suggesting here, there may not be too many folks who track data and database changes. I think that's true a lot of cases. We run into a lot of customers where a request for a change could be a conversation in a hallway. A request for change could be small. It's just a small field that needs to be added to a database table in a larger system. People will do that without even thinking about it because it doesn't require much effort. But for a change manager or a manager of a team, that requires resources. Even small changes, even though they only take a minute or two, eats up time from a larger project. So I need to know how many of those I'm doing. And if your engineers or your staff is making a lot of changes, it's good to be able to track how much time they're spending and how many requests they're getting for small or medium changes that don't require a lot of time. Many times the focus really is on the large changes that come into play or the large requests, not so much the small day-to-day things that need to occur. And they're the ones that really take up the majority of your day. It's not the big requests, it's the small stuff. I mean, I think about me, I do scheduling for the professional services team. The majority of my day is taken up by sending out emails all day long. Going through the open issues that need to be sent out, going through scheduling and things like that. So, we're looking at automation in order to take care of that, but it's work that needs to be done and tracked and kept up with. And I do that every day within our IssueTrack system.
Right. And that kind of goes to how IssueTrack uses IssueTrack. We actually, we call it eating our own dog food, but we've expanded the use of IssueTrack in our organization greatly. As processes change, as teams merge or actually separate, the processes need to be rethought. So that's a really big thing. I mean, especially with technology and all the changes going on, the processes change as well. Well, you did it this way in one system. Well, it has to be done this way in another. And those
I think that's a good point, Patrick. One of the things that's happened recently is we started using some of the new tools that we've added in the user-defined fields. One of the things that we did, everybody knows we have a support site. Well, when support asks for professional services assistance, then we create a secondary issue within our corp site. They're two separate websites. So one of the things that we did is that I had to create a work request in my corp site that kind of worked with the support site. So I used the user-defined fields for a hyperlink. So I created a hyperlink field that would give me a link to the corp site issue in the support site. And then we added a user-defined field in the corp site that linked back to the IssueTrack. So we created two user-defined fields in two separate databases in order for us to have a link between the two. And it doesn't matter. I mean, we use GitHub as part of the way we track some of the changes. So we even have a link field in the support issue for when we do find a bug that for a GitHub ticket to be created. So the support team can access that GitHub ticket very quickly from the support issue that they happen to be looking at. So it's some of the ways that you can leverage some of the new features. Issue association. Every once in a while, we get a situation where we have more than one request for services going on at the same time, and they're related to each other. So we use the issue association user-defined field in order to do that, where we can say, okay, issue number 100 is associated with issue number 105, and it provides a way of looking at either one of those issues and know that there's another issue out there related to it. Right. I've done that especially where we've done add-ons to consulting hours. So that's how we track them that way. So it's a good way of looking at that ability to use some of these new features we're using.
Right. Because pretty much everyone in the IssueTrack organization uses IssueTrack one way or another.
That's for sure.
Yeah, we have a saying here that if there's no issue, it didn't happen. So we kind of want to track everything in the organization.
And that came from a customer, believe it or not. We had a customer a long time ago, and he was a small one-person shop, and he got tired of being bothered all the time. Everybody kept asking for something and he couldn't track it all. So he came to us, we set him up, and then his comment to people who would stop him, hey, have you replaced my printer? And the first thing he'd say, have you put in an IssueTrack ticket for it? Right. Because if you haven't, I ain't touching it. I don't know nothing about it.
Yeah. Yeah, a big one in our organization is, hey, the coffee's out.
Yeah.
So, hey, put it in an issue, we'll get you more coffee. So that's more of a facilities, that's very important right there. So you got to have that coffee.
Well, I'm hoping even this little discussion that we've had in between Patrick and I kind of brings you some helpful information. Again, reach out to us whenever you have any needs. If you have just a question that you need to ask, you can go through support or you can hit us directly. Use the contact information that we provided there at the bottom. There's a contact page on there that you can use. www.issuetrack.com contact. You just click on the contact links at the top, and it gives you links to professional services and support and to sales too. So if you need anything, you can always go there. So until we come back again and meet with you, Patrick and I are here to help you if you need us. So we want to thank you for attending. Thank you for your time today. And hopefully we can all make our days better. Until later now. Bye now.
Thanks. Bye.